Here we go. We're ready. Good afternoon. Welcome all of you to our May 4th, 2023 regular meeting of the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners. And we're going to begin our meeting today with an invocation from Ms. Kim Windham from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Woodbury. And please stand if you're able. And Mrs. Windham, please come up forward. Let's see you there. There you are. I thought you were in the front row.
Our Father in heaven, we're so grateful to come together this day, grateful for the opportunities we have to meet together as community and to help one another. We're grateful for this opportunity to learn from one another and to help each other in our community. We're so grateful for our freedoms and the freedom to pray and to pray together. And we're grateful for each other here in this room and the work they give to the community. We ask a blessing on them and their families, that they will be blessed for the work that they do, and while they are away from their families, that they will be lifted up and strengthened by Thee. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mrs. Windham, for coming today. Appreciate it. Thank you. Any citizen who is wishing and participating in the public session portion of the meeting, you actually can do so by calling in 336-422-1200, and you'll be placed on hold until the public session begins. That number again is 336-422-1200. And any member of the audience who wishes to participate in the public session portion of the meeting, fill out a speaker card and return it to the clerk if you haven't done so. If you are here for one of our two hearings today, you do not need to fill out a speaker card, because we will do those first, and you'll be able to come up to speak for or against the two zoning matters. The first item on the agenda is a public hearing on the zoning petition of Clay Pigeon Properties, LLC, from RS20 to RS9. And Mr. Chris Murphy, our Planning Services, Development Services Director, will give us a brief overview of the request. We're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Commissioners. The first request is a request of Clay Pigeon Properties, LLC, to rezone 13.71 acres of property on the north side of Union Cross Road at its intersection with Thomasville Road from general use RS20 to general use RS9. This is the subject property shown on the countywide Legacy Growth Management Area map. You'll see that it is located within GMA 3 Growth Management Area, which is the Suburban Neighborhoods Growth Management Area there along Thomasville Road. This is a subject property highlighted in yellow. Again, you'll see it is located at the intersection of Union Cross and Thomasville Road, nestled in between Union Cross Road and an existing subdivision to the north. You also notice from this zoning map, you have a wide array of different zoning districts, including RS9 directly to the west. You have RS12 to the west and to the north. You have RS20 further to the east. And then across 109 Thomasville Road, you have AG. Further back towards Winston, you have RM18. So again, a real hodgepodge of various zoning districts in this area. This is the subject property outlined in yellow on the countywide aerial photography. You'll see that this is a developed site. There is a house on it, some agricultural buildings. It was farmed in the past, but you also notice the development pattern in the area, transitioning to single family in this area. Here is the subject property shown on the Southeast Suburban Area Plan Update, which was adopted by the County Commissioners back in the 2010s. It recommends 0 to 8 units per acre. and the request of RS9 is consistent with that land use recommendation of 0 to 8 units per acre. This is looking north from Union Cross Road at the subject property. This is looking west onto the subject property from Union Cross Road. This is looking eastbound onto Union Cross Road. The subject property is on the left. This is looking westbound at the North Carolina 109, which is Thomasville Road, Union Cross Road intersection. The subject property is on the right. This is the existing single-family home on the western portion of the property. In summary, this request is consistent with Legacy in that it supports a mixture of housing densities and types. It is consistent with the Southeast Suburban Area Plan update, which recommends single-family residential land use, 0 to 8 units per acre at this location. There is public sewer available, which also supports intensification, and there also is public water. This was heard at by the Planning Board at their March 9th, 2023 public hearing. There were several speakers in opposition. The opposition did cite concerns with traffic, property values, and concerns about making a connection to their neighborhood. That is a ordinance requirement. Keep in mind, this is a general use request from RS20 to RS9, so there is no development plan shown, but the presumption is that following rezoning, if this were to be rezoned, they would bring through a subdivision, and that connection would have to be made as part of that. If the Board of County Commissioners decide to deny the rezoning request and they bring it through for RS20 for a subdivision, that same connection will still have to be made. So the rezoning from RS20 to RS9 is not, doesn't affect the connection. Following discussion, the Planning Board did vote 6-1 to recommend approval of the request. And with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Go ahead.
Chris, under either RS20 or RS9, if the subdivision plan for residential subdivision on the subject property were submitted with a cul-de-sac rather than a connecting stub street, would you be barred from your reading of the subdivision requirements from?
We would not be able to recommend approval of it to the Planning Board because it would not meet the ordinance requirements.
You would not recommend, would the Planning Board be within its authority in approving a plan? You say that it's prohibitory.
Unless there is a finding, unless there is a topographic reason why it can't be done.
Well, there are other exceptions in the subdivision ordinance, but at any rate, your position is that the difference between RS20, there is no difference between the requirements that would apply between an RS20 zoned area and an RS9 zoned area.
Related to the connection?
Related
Correct.
to connectivity. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Chris? All righty, thank you. This is a public hearing, and speakers will have up to 15 minutes total to speak in favor of this request, and up to 15 minutes total to speak in opposition. And is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the petition? And if so, please come forward. Just come to the microphone, give us your name and address, please, for our records, and I'll get my timer zeroed out and start for the 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brent Sievers. I work for FEI Consulting, and I'm here to represent Clay Pigeon Properties. And my address is 8518 Triad Drive, Colfax, North Carolina. And I'm really here to field questions if you guys have any questions associated with the rezoning.
Thank you. Any questions about the rezoning for the? All righty. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the petition? And if so, do the same thing. Please come forward. Just give us your name and address, and we'll go from there. Last call. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? All righty. I declare the public hearing closed, and do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, a motion to approve zoning map amendment F-1628 and statement of consistency with comprehensive plan. I move that the zoning map amendment F-1628 be approved on the basis of the following. The proposed general use zoning map amendment as petitioned by Clay Pigeon Properties, LLC, to rezone a 17.71 acre piece of property from RS20 to RS9 residential single-family minimum lot size of 9,000 square feet is consistent with the recommendation of the Legacy Comprehensive Plan and reasonable or in the public interest because, number one, the subject property, a largely undeveloped and clear site located at 2540 and 2580 Union Cross Road, is currently zoned RS20, is adjacent or near property zoned Ag, RS20, RS12, and RS9, with nearby uses consisting of single-family houses. Number two, the proposed RS9 zoning is intended to accommodate relative low-density, single-family detached dwellings in urban areas of growth management areas 2 and 3. And number three, the proposed RS9 zoning is consistent with the Southeast Suburban Area Plan Update, which recommends single-family housing with up to 8 units per acre for the site. The subject property is located in Growth Management Area 3. The property has access to public water and sewer, and the proposed zoning is consistent with the Legacy Comprehensive Plan and with approximate zoning and surrounding uses. I move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any other further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Second item on the agenda on these is the zoning petition of Sandra N. Roberts from LB to HBL. And Chris Murphy, our Planning and Development Service Director, will again give us a brief summary of this request.
Again, good afternoon. Yes, this is case F-1629, and this is a request to rezone 1.39 acres on the south side of North Main Street between Cedarwood Trail and Rich Fork Creek Drive. And this North Main Street is the High Point North Main Street, so we're looking at the High Point Road area transitioning out of southeast Forsyth County towards High Point. The request is a special use limited rezoning from LB to HBL. This is the subject property shown on the Legacy Growth Management Area Plan map. You see the site indicated again in the extreme southeast area of Forsyth County, located in the Growth Management Area 4 Growth Management Area, which is the future growth management area. You notice this is the subject property highlighted in yellow on the location map, and you see that the subject property is currently zoned LB and is adjacent to an HBL project that is an existing storage services retail business. There's also some other zoning in the area, but the subject property is currently, it's zoned LB, but it's currently a residential property that's been vacant for a number of years. The house has been. This is a subject property outlined in yellow on the countywide aerial photography. Again, you see the developed nature of the property to the southeast, the HBL storage services, and the existing zoning of LB, primarily vegetated, but again with a house there along High Point Road, North Main Street. This is the view south into the subject site from North Main Street, High Point Road. Again, you see the residential structure there begin and has been vacant for a period of time. This is looking southeast down North Main Street. The property is, the subject property is to the right. This is looking northwest back up towards Winston-Salem area, up North Main Street, so the subject property is to the left. This is looking northeast from the subject site across High Point Road. and this is adjacent. This is the adjacent property to the west, so the subject property is on the left-hand side of this house. This is existing storage services retail on the adjacent piece of property that is zoned HBL. This is the Southeast Forsyth County Area Plan update. As I mentioned during my briefings, this map is actually coded incorrectly. It should be coded red. The narrative within the area plan does recognize this as existing commercial. The maps that I went over earlier indicate it's existing commercial, and it's allowed to remain commercial in this otherwise commercial area. Staff does believe that this would not expand the boundaries of existing commercial districts in the area since it is already zoned LB. The request would help develop/redevelop an underutilized commercially zoned property. And the request is generally consistent with both Legacy 2030 and the specific land use recommendation of the area plan. This was heard by the Planning Board also at their March 9th, 2023 public hearing. There were no speakers in opposition, and the Planning Board did vote unanimously to recommend approval of the request to the commissioners. And with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for Chris? Thank you. This is a public hearing, and speakers will have up to 15 minutes total to speak in favor of this request and up to 15 minutes total to speak in opposition. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this request? Just come forward and give us your name and address, and we'll be ready.
Good afternoon. Name is Chad Hockaday here, representing the storage and developer. Our address is 7622 Bentley Road in Greensboro, 27409. And just here to answer any questions if there's any questions that we can answer to help.
Any questions? Thank you very much for being here. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this request? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this request? Seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed, and do we have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I move that zoning map amendment F-1629, including special use district no site plan permit, be approved on the basis of the following. The proposed special use zoning map amendment is petitioned by Sandra N. Roberts to rezone a 1.39 acre piece of property from LB limited business to HBL highway business limited use, is consistent with the recommendations of the Legacy Comprehensive Plan and reasonable or in the public interest because, 1, the subject property containing a vacant single-family house and a vacant manufactured home located at 4009 North Main Street is currently zoned LB and is surrounded by property zoned HBL, LB, RM12, and RM20 with surrounding uses of storage services, single-family houses, vacant land, and a manufactured home park. 2, the proposed HBL zoning is primarily intended to accommodate retail service and distributive uses in growth management areas 2, 3, and 4 for establishments which require high visibility and good road access or which cater primarily to passing motorists without encouraging strip commercial development. 3, the subject property is located adjacent to a storage services facility and has good road access. And 4, subject property is located in growth management area 4, is consistent with the Southeast Forsyth County Area Plan update, and the proposed use is consistent with adjacent zoning and uses.
Do we have a second for the motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. On the next item on the agenda is a resolution recognizing May 2023 as Mental Health Awareness Month. And Denise Price, who's our Behavioral Health Services Director, is here to receive the resolution. And if there's anyone else connected with any kind of that like to support the resolution for Mental Health Awareness Month, please come forward with behind Denise there, would be perfect. And our Vice Chairman, Gloria Wisenhunt, will actually review the resolution.
Thank y'all for being here. Great. The gang's all here. Resolution recognizing May as Mental Health Awareness Month. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being. Whereas mental health can affect anyone and can develop at any time. Whereas 1 in 5 people experience mental health conditions each year. Whereas in 2020, suicide was the second leading cause of death among people aged 10 to 24. Whereas in 2021, 41.3% of Winston-Salem Forsyth County high school students completing the Youth Risk Behavioral Survey reported feeling sad or hopeless for 2 or more weeks in the past 12 months. 21.1% seriously considered attempting suicide during the past 12 months. 18% made a suicide plan during the past 12 months, and 10.3% attempted suicide during the past 12 months. Whereas in 2021, 35.2% of Winston-Salem Forsyth County middle school students completing the Youth Risk Behavior Survey reported feeling sad or hopeless for 2 or more weeks in the past 12 months. 25.7% seriously considered attempting suicide during the past 12 months. 19.3% made a suicide plan during the past 12 months, and 11.4% attempted suicide during the past 12 months. Whereas Forsyth County has the 3rd highest rate of North Carolina counties of emergency department visits rates as a result of self-inflicted injury during the period October 2021 through September 2022, 185.9 per 100,000. Whereas people with mental illness are valued and make important contributions to our families and communities. Whereas while mental health treatment can be successful, many do not receive the treatment needed for their mental health. Whereas, won't come to me, stigma and fear of discrimination keep many who would benefit from mental health services for asking help, and greater public awareness around mental health could help reduce this problem. Whereas early and effective treatment can make a difference in successful navigation and treatment of mental illness, and whereas Forsyth County government cares about the health and mental well-being of its citizens. Now therefore be it resolved that the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners hereby recognize May 23rd as Mental Health Awareness Month in Forsyth County. Call observation of the importance of mental health and ask residents to support each other, to know that they're not alone, and that there is hope and help, and that healing is possible. Adopted this 4th day of May 2023.
Second that motion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
I'd love to make a statement. These individuals that are with me are really the gears of our division. They make it happen, and I'm very proud of the work that we've done in this first year. That said, we know that we can't lose momentum because we've got much work to do. I'm also very proud of the synergy and the partnership that I'm seeing across our community from families, from individuals that are experiencing behavioral health crises, from partners large and small, and from parts of our community that just simply care. So we're very excited about what next year brings us, and I would be remiss if I didn't do an invitation. So 2 events we'd like to invite you, the board, to, and also the public to as well. The first is on May the 16th, beginning at 5:45 at our Central Library. We'll be having a community conversation about suicide. You just heard those statistics. We'd love for folks to come out to hear more and to learn more about training that's available. We also are having a day of action on May the 30th, and I'm going to look down to get my times right, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. That will be on Carl Russell Avenue in the Grassy area. We'll have games and food and recovery art and music and panel discussions, so we'll hope you'll be able to come out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Take your inside shoulder.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Next item of the agenda is a resolution recognizing May 2023 as Historic Preservation Month. And Janet Schill, our Historic Resources Commission member, is here to receive the resolution, and I'd like to invite her down to the podium and ask her to join Commissioner Bessie at the podium to actually review. She'll receive the resolution and he'll review it, which is it. And I think you're also going to be here a little later in our briefing session and actually give us a little annual sort of update. So thank you for being here.
And can we invite other staff and members of the commission up here with us? Put them on the spot. Thank you. It's my pleasure and privilege to read the resolution recognizing May 2023 as Historic Preservation Month in Forsyth County. Whereas Forsyth County joins cities and counties across the United States in a nationwide celebration of Historic Preservation Month. Whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for economic development, tourism promotion, revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining community character while enhancing livability. Whereas historic preservation is relevant for all communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for all neighborhoods and citizens all over Forsyth County. Whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped us as a people. Whereas Historic Preservation Month is co-sponsored by the Forsyth County Historic Resources Commission and other local preservation and neighborhood organizations throughout Forsyth County, and whereas these organizations encourage members of the community to participate in creative and fun events related to historic preservation as a way to celebrate Historic Preservation Month 2023. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners hereby recognizes the month of May 2023 as Historic Preservation Month in Forsyth County and encourages the people of Forsyth County to join their fellow citizens across the United States in celebrating and participating in this special observance, adopted this 4th day of May 2023.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you care to make comments, please?
Oh, no, well, I'll be up here in a little bit to make comments for the Resource Commission.
All right.
Thank you so much.
May we present you with that? You gotta take the landscape off.
All right. Christine Dowdell, our Social Services Director, is here to receive a resolution recognizing May 2023 as Foster Care Awareness Month. And I'd like to invite anyone else that in the foster care arena to come forward and join her at the podium. And I'd like to welcome Commissioner Woodbury to actually read the proclamation, resolution, and actually give it to Ms. Dowdell. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Martin, and it is an honor and privilege, and I'm happy to read the resolution and thank everyone in our community that enables foster care. Resolution recognizing May 2023 as Foster Care Awareness Month in Forsyth County, North Carolina. Whereas the family serves as the primary source of love, identity, and support, and is the foundation of our communities. Whereas over 400,000 children are in the foster care system in the United States because their own families are in crisis and unable to provide for their essential safety and well-being needs. Whereas foster families who open their hearts and homes to help children whose families are in crisis play a vital role in helping children heal, reconnect, and transition successfully into adulthood. Whereas Forsyth County has 250 children in foster care as of April 12, 2023 being provided with a safe and stable home by licensed foster families, relatives, and approved caretakers. Whereas the needs of children in foster care result in a greater need for trained foster families, community partners, and additional resources. Whereas the Forsyth County Department of Social Services depends on the active support and involvement of the Forsyth County community to support the well-being needs of children in the foster care system. Whereas the Family and Children's Division of the Forsyth County Department of Social Services continues to implement trauma-informed practices to support the emotional, behavioral, and well-being needs of children who have experienced abuse, neglect, and dependency within their previous environments. And whereas the Forsyth County Department of Social Services acknowledges that the foster care system needs more compassionate foster and adoptive homes to ensure placement, stability for children, and to help them heal. Therefore, ongoing partnerships on every level are critical to the success of the foster care system. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners that May 2023 is hereby recognized as Foster Care Awareness Month in Forsyth County and encourages all citizens and community partners to consider how they can assist with supporting the emotional, social, and academic needs of children in the foster care system as they grow to become citizens in our community, adopted this 4th day of May 2023. Thank you.
Second that. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Proceed, please, Navali.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for adopting that resolution. And also, I want to thank the staff that are here. I would like for our Division Director, Adrian Turner, to say a few words, and she is over all of Children's Services.
Good afternoon. I want to thank you all first for continuing to support our children in Forsyth County. And just to let you know the hard work of these individuals behind me, we have taken that number down over the past month from 250 children in care to 238 children in care. And I think that's a big deal for finding permanence for those children. And again, thank you all for your support. And if you are interested in fostering or adopt, please call 336-703-CHILD. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all for the work you do.
No, you-
The next item on the agenda is actually, we have two proclamations that are recognizing one for the Winston-Salem State 2022 Women's Track and Field Team, and one for the proclamation recognizing the 2022 Men's Basketball Team. And I'd like to ask the Winston-Salem State University Director of Athletics, Etienne Thomas, to come forward to receive the resolution. And if there is anyone else here, please to join her at the podium. Other than that, I'm pleased for Commissioner McDaniel, who's going to deliver the proclamation. Please proceed.
Thank you, Chairman Martin. I appreciate you, sir. Whereas on May 6th through the 7th, 2022, the Winston-Salem State University Women's Track and Field Team was named co-champions of the Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association, known as the CIAA Outdoor Track and Field Championship at Bowen State University, sharing the title with Fayetteville State University. Whereas the Winston-Salem State University women's track and field team completed a total of 16 events with a total score of 149.5 points to defeat Johnson C. Smith University, Claflin University, Livingston University, Shaw University, and Virginia State University. Whereas head coach Antonio Wells and assistant coach Sierra Pridgeon led 26 student athletes through 11 outdoor meets for the 2022 season. And whereas the Winston-Salem State University women's track and field team continued their journey into the 2023 outdoor season, and we look forward to defending the CIAA championship where they won third in a row. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners do hereby commend and congratulate the Winston-Salem State University's women's track and field team on their Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association championship, and we wish the team many, many more exceptional years of growth. Thank you.
I'll second that proclamation. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. And you can present the second, and then we can have that's perfect. Thank you.
All righty, and then we will navigate to the men's basketball team. Whereas the Winston-Salem State University men's basketball team was named the 2023 Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association, better known as the CIAA, men's basketball champions with a 62-57 win over Lincoln University. Whereas the Winston-Salem State University men's basketball team entered the tournament with a 21-8 overall record, defeating Claflin University, St. Aug's University, Virginia Union University, and Lincoln University. Whereas Coach Cleo Hill Jr., Ricky Wilson, and Lance Wickbeth led the team on their 13th conference championships in the school's history. And whereas the Winston-Salem State University men's basketball team has earned an automatic bid to the 2023 National Collegiate Athletic Association, the NCAA Division II Atlantic Regional Tournament. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners do hereby commend and congratulate the Winston-Salem State University men's basketball team on their on their Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association championship. And we, again, wish the team many, many more exceptional growth. Adopted on this 4th day of May 2023. Thank you, Chairman.
Second that resolution. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. And maybe Mrs. Thomas, you can say a word after pictures. That'd be great.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair and County Commissioners and community. Thank you so much for this opportunity and for the recognition for the hard work of our student athletes on both the 2022 Championship Women's Track and Field team and the 2023 Men's Basketball team. I stand here as that representation as we are in final exams for our men's basketball team, and our women's track and field team actually took off today to Durham to defend their title. So excited about that opportunity for them to go forward. But for our student athletes, some who are residents of Forsyth County and some who have our adopted residents and call this home, it is a great honor to represent Winston-Salem each and every time they step out there with the logo on and represent our institution. It is also an honor and a privilege to have two Rams as county commissioners, Commissioner McDaniel and Commissioner Plyler. I'm very proud and very thankful to see them enter to learn and depart to serve. So again, I say thank you on behalf of Chancellor Elwood Robinson, our chancellor, and our student athletes and our coaches. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes for the April 20th, 2023 meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Is there a second? Second. Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Madam Clerk, do we have any calls or cards for the public session?
Mr. Chairman, we have 5 speaker cards.
Okay.
The first speaker is Chase Law. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
I'm Chase Law, President and CEO of Arts Council of Winston-Salem and Forsyth County, 251 North Spruce Street, Winston-Salem. Thank you, Chairman Martin and members of the Board of Commissioners for having me here today and for your time. On behalf of the entire arts and cultural sector, many are here today, I'm here to update you on our ARPA process. First, I want to thank you so much for the generous support in that program. Over the last year, we have worked closely with county staff to be able to launch this program to our community. And after a lengthy period of compliance, training, and community conversations, we received our formal contract in January 2023. At that time, we launched the program in a very robust way. Between January and April, we have allocated over $2.64 million to activate arts and culture in our community. This allocation includes 30 contracts to the arts and cultural community organizations, artists. It'll also support arts and wellness projects, arts teachers, school arts enrichment, microgrants for local artists and creatives. By the end of our funding period, which is December 2024, we anticipate awarding between 150 and 250 contracts at a variety of funding levels. In your handouts, you will see images from some of the new and expanded programs that we've funded through the ARPA program. I'll be sharing more photos and information as this program continues to unfold. In addition to these special one-time funds that we are managing, the county has been a steadfast supporter of Arts Council and our annual funding through special appropriations. As you're planning for the budget, I'm asking for your continued support in renewing the county's funding of $100,000 to our organization. As you may know, we have made major strides in our region and within our own organization as we've come out of the pandemic. We've continued to not only lift up the arts in our community through organizations and artists in our community, but we're also dedicated to the residents of Forsyth County and ensuring prioritized access to the arts. Your annual support helps us do this and ensures the arts continue to be available beyond just the center city, but also by serving areas such as Kernersville, Clemens, Louisville, and all areas of Forsyth County. You may be asking yourself why annual support is still needed because of this ARPA allocation you've given us. Annual funds and ARPA funds do not commingle. Each of these funding streams support very different programs, as you can see from your handouts. ARPA cannot fund existing programs or any of our current annual grant programs. Annual funds provide support for our Parks concert series at Triad and Tanglewood Parks, as well as support grants for organizational support, programmatic, arts and education, artist support, special initiatives, community projects, and so much more. Additionally, annual funds support Arts Council's facilities, and it helps offset rental costs for area arts and community partners. I sincerely hope you will include Arts Council again this year in the county's budget and continue this much-needed funding. Again, thank you so much for your past support, and thank you in advance for renewing your $100,000. Your community depends on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Houston Odom, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Houston Odom. My address is 119 Sagewood Road in Jamestown. I'm the founder of Activate Entertainment here in Winston-Salem. We are, and I'm also a graduate of UNCSA, just to mention. Activate is actually the only circus company in the Triad, and we're the only professional circus company in all of North Carolina. We're honored to be here to speak about the importance of supporting the arts sector in our community. I'd first like to express a huge amount of gratitude to the commissioners for their support of the arts sector through the generous ARPA grant. Your investment in the arts has helped to reinvigorate the cultural sector, build community, and break down barriers throughout Forsyth County. Our ARPA-funded project Solstice generated $43,000 in economic impact in Forsyth County, supported 16 local artists and performers of all backgrounds, and drew over 1,000 people to downtown Winston. People came from as far as Raleigh and Western North Carolina up to 3 hours away to see our show. I'm proud to say that this show will travel across North Carolina in 2024, promoting the Arts Council of Winston-Salem and Forsyth County with that logo on our poster. And as a result of this show's success, our company has been invited to create a performance at the International Circus Festival in St. John's, Newfoundland in Canada later this year. It's going to be in September. We anticipate our 2023 projects to generate an additional $60,000 to $70,000 of economic impact for Forsyth County as well. This is just the tip of the iceberg for us in Winston-Salem, and I can say that support from the Arts Council of Winston-Salem and Forsyth County has been instrumental not only in funding, but in marketing support, their network of community connections, and leadership in marketing and public relations. This is frankly not something that other arts councils do, and it makes our Arts Council an invaluable asset to our community, and we're asking the commissioners to please consider renewing the annual funding of $100,000. This funding is crucial to continuing the existing programming that's not covered by ARPA that has made our community into a great place to live, work, and create. Most importantly, it demonstrates that the county supports and recognizes the impact of arts in the city of the arts and innovation. Thank you again for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Chairman Martin.
Yes.
A question.
Oh, good. Yeah. Commissioner McDaniel would like to ask you a
Houston,
question.
if you don't mind. Thank you so very much. Great information, and thank you for advocating for the Arts Council today. My question is relative to the circus. So what makes your circus different than the Soul Circus and the Ringling Brothers when they do come? And will your circus conflict with that schedule that they already have?
Absolutely not. So we're a local company of creatives. We hire a lot of local artists, people that don't really fit into existing programming. So we're taking the local dance community, the local music community, a lot of art forms that really don't have a place to perform, and we're incorporating them into our show. We're also pairing them with internationally renowned artists, so they're getting connections all over the world, and we're actually taking 2 of our local artists to Newfoundland this year to perform. It's going to be on a massive stage where the heads of casting at some of the biggest entertainment companies in the world are going to be there. So for us, we have this commitment to being right here in the community, right here in the South. I think going to Canada, to Montreal, seeing all the circus they have made me realize who we are here even more. And, after graduating from School of the Arts, I have a commitment to kind of building this community here to where we can support our own artists that we create and cultivate.
Very nice. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
You. All righty.
Mark Norman, please come forward. State your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Mark Norman, and I live at 4545 Shabar Drive in Pufftown here in Forsyth County. It's certainly my pleasure to come and speak with you today. So I am the music director and very honored to be the music director and conductor of the Piedmont Wind Symphony. And Piedmont Wind Symphony is proud to represent Forsyth County as the only professional wind band from Washington, D.C. all the way down to Atlanta, Georgia. And we're a 33-year-old nonprofit organization that has benefited greatly from the Winston-Salem Arts Council, or Winston-Forsyth County Arts Council, in many ways. We rely on them not only for financial support, but also for their guidance and leadership, which has cultivated in us hiring a new executive director and starting to proceed past the pandemic in gaining great momentum and towards a really fruitful conversation that we are having with this community about the arts and how we're a part of it. And so again, we rely on them for so much of what we do. I also want to say thank you to you for your past support with the Arts Council, but also for the ARPA grant that you awarded us. Through the ARPA grant, we're able to start a new summer concert series. It's free, it's family friendly, not only here in Winston-Salem at the Coal Pit, but also in Louisville. And it also is allowing us to branch out to start a guest performer series at the St. Peter's Church and World Outreach Center in South Winston-Salem, where we're bringing some internationally known guest artists. So with the summer concert series, we're doing a lot of collaborative work with our local artists. And then we're also able, because of this incredible grant and also through the Arts Council and their support, we're able to bring really some really amazing programming and diverse programming to not just Winston-Salem, but all through Forsyth County. So we want to say thank you very much for your past support, and we absolutely encourage you to continue that support with the Arts Council. Thank you so much.
Did you know there are 2 people standing behind you?
I do. Let me introduce them. So this is Ann Walker. She is our treasurer and longtime contributor to the Piedmont Wind Symphony, and Ken Nocito, who is our president of our board. And again, They are volunteers for our organization. Without them, we don't exist. So,
Congratulations, yeah. Great report.
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Dr. Patterson, please come forward. State your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon, Dr. S.D. Patterson, Executive Director of Neighborhood Hands, located at 1713 North Liberty Street. Today, I'm here to just say about one thing. One thing in life that does not lie. Numbers. Numbers do not lie. 2 + 2 all day is 4. And on behalf of Neighborhood Hands, I would like to say thank you. Thank you for entrusting us with ARPA, the ARPA funding. With the ARPA funding, we were scheduled to deliver 891 pounds of food per week. However, from September 2022 through December 2022, we averaged delivering 3,500 pounds of food per week. From January 2023 up until this week, we averaged delivering 2,800 pounds of food to the residents of Forsyth County. We have 8 different programs at Neighborhood Hands. And ARPA funds one of the major programs, which is our food pantry. Our food pantry operates 7 days a week in the heart of 27105. We serve over 200 residents every Thursday at Crystal Towers. Serve over 200 residents every Friday at Sunrise Towers. We serve over 485 residents per week in Winston-Salem. But see, we cannot do this without your support. So today I say thank you to the commissioners. One, for entrusting us with ARPA. Everybody applied for ARPA and some people didn't get it. But you had the confidence in Neighborhood Hands to do the right thing. We have impacted so many people's lives just through our food bank. Food is essential. And we say thank you. And our second major program is our workforce development program, a program that we're funding by ourselves. But because they're trying to find jobs, they come up there and get food from our food pantry. See, you may not think you're making an impact in 27105, but as county commissioners, you are. And today I say, job well done. I know sometimes you don't get that gratitude, but on behalf of the residents that we serve here in Forsyth County, I personally say thank you, because the impact we're serving on Liberty Street with food insecurity. See, I wrote my dissertation about food insecurity years ago, and 27105, 27101, and 27107. And if you don't know, the great city of Winston-Salem has 44 food deserts. Why? Because I did research. But many of the food deserts are located in 27105. Yet we serve people from Clemens, Walkertown, Louisville, Kernersville, and all Winston-Salem and Forsyth County. So I want to say on behalf of Neighborhood Hands, thank you, commissioners. You entrusted us to do the right thing. And I hope we are fulfilling that need, because as I conclude, we thought 891 pounds of food per week was a lot. But numbers don't lie. We submit our ARPA report every month, timely, with the documentation showing that we serve and deliver over 2,800 pounds of food per week. It's not us. It's by the grace of God. But it's by the grace of God that we're able to impact the people. But it's by the grace of God that you, as the county commissioners, believed in us and trusted us at Neighborhood Hands to do the right thing with the ARPA funding. So thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Andrew Roscoe, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Andrew Roscoe, 5011 K Rook Drive, Winston-Salem, 27105. Like an update on the petition to improve the gun ordinance for Forsyth County.
Mr. Roscoe, I've communicated with you several times via email. In fact, as recently as yesterday, and I think I'm pretty clear on kind of where we are at this point.
Are you going to vote on it?
At this point, there is no interest in bringing that forward for any changes.
I need an official document from your office with the attorney's information. I have his card, but I need an official document from your office.
So I appreciate that, and I think we'd be happy to send you a letter to that effect. I've also suggested that you take Chief Deputy Joyner's recommendation and actually go visit a magistrate and actually file a formal complaint with you and
It'll be against Forsyth County.
It has made a difference before, and that's a fact, and it came from his recommendation, and it did make a difference.
I just need an official piece of paper from this office. So you mail me something?
Be happy to.
Please do. I need it. Is that it?
That's
it. See ya.
All righty. Mr. Manager, we are ready to continue with the remainder of the agenda.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, board members and staff and guests. We do have some business items for consideration this afternoon. We have reviewed these in briefing sessions. Hopefully, have answered all the questions. So we'll go ahead and dive in. Item 10 has three parts. They are amendments to the 2022 County Capital Maintenance Two-Thirds Bond Capital Projects Ordinance to appropriate 2023 general obligation net issue premium to pay for debt issuance cost. And you have essentially the same thing in the amendment for the 2022 Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools Capital Maintenance Two-Thirds Bond Capital Projects Ordinance to appropriate for the debt issuance cost, and then the same thing for the 2022 Forsyth Technical Community College Capital Maintenance Two-Thirds Bond Capital Projects Ordinance. Essentially, what we've done is split the debt issuance cost among the three issuances, and those let us pay for things like bond counsel, the advertising that is required, and then one of the biggest costs, frankly, are the rating agencies that rate our bonds as we go out to sale in the marketplace. All right.
Any questions for the county manager? All in favor, please say aye. Excuse me, do I have a motion? We have a motion by Commissioner Bessie. Is there a second?
Second it.
Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, and I just wanted to mention, Lee Plunkett actually mentioned to me prior at the beginning of the meeting that local government has heard that taken action on the application, and it's been passed, and so we are moving forward. Those bonds will be sold at the end of this month, I believe. So we're in good shape. Item 11 is a resolution approving a revision to the fiscal year 2022-2023 Home and Community Care Block Grant County Funding Plan for older adults and authorizing execution of the necessary documents to submit the revised plan for state approval. This essentially moves some allocations around totaling $11,200 from adult day care and adult health care to more of the it's kind of the outreach and the counseling side of things.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Bessie. Any discussion? Favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right, agenda item 12 is a resolution authorizing the execution of an amendment to the agreement between Forsyth County and the Twin City Harm Reduction Collective. You got the associated budget ordinance amendment that'll appropriate an additional $29,000 for this purpose.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Linville. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right, agenda item 13 is a resolution to direct the expenditures of opioid settlement funds. Thanks to a lot of work across the state, but frankly, our county attorney, Gordon Watkins, really was a leader across the state in this settlement. We do have a flow of revenue that will flow over a number of years. This action appropriates $1,870,021 across 8 programs. And I can read the programs aloud or not, Mr. Chairman.
Let me just say while you're paused, I had a conversation with Denise Price. You all may recall there were several questions asked about it's basically the online opioid program by the foundation. Her name is escaping me. It's like EDF.
Eleanor Health Foundation.
Eleanor Health, ELF, Eleanor Health Foundation, EHL, Eleanor Health Foundation, EHF. And essentially, I had some questions about the details. She provided us an email with all those details in it. And she indicated to me that project, there's a project underway in the western part of the state at this moment. And that, one thought might be is that we postpone approval of that grant till we see what kind of success there may be. It's a very pricey technology application that is based on providing incentives for those that are using in some sorts of way. And so you're tracking with electronically things with an app and apparently some other testing that can be done. And I'm just not sure. I'd like to see some success before we invest. It's for only 50 people, $374,000. I think just the cost potential benefit may be out there. But if it works, it is something new and different. I'll admit that it is new and different. But since it is underway being tried, I'd actually like to make a motion that we approve the group excluding that particular one.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to also exclude Forsyth Medical Center Foundation.
And yeah, we can do that. We'll vote on we'll exclude both the EHF, and we'll include the Medical Health Foundation. Is there a motion to approve? I'll reword my motion to basically approve those that are remaining in that list. And if there's a desire to read them, we can read those. But to approve the remaining list.
I'll second it.
We have a second by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Any further discussion about those grants?
Chairman Martin.
All right, we got 2. Go ahead with it.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you,
Commissioner
Chair
Woodbury first.
So I have a note from the item last week that we needed an update on the Forsyth Medical Foundation, and I thought that something was going to be shared with us today so that we can make, a more empowered decision. So I'm not sure.
Let me send it out. She sent us that information.
Okay, did she send it through email or something?
Yes, and actually, I was very concerned about whether there was any overhead from Novant Hospital in that, and the answer to that is no, and that's part of the reason they actually are using their foundation is to avoid any overhead. So I think that's a good thing, and so I felt comfortable after the answers that we received to that part. Anybody? Well, we can discuss that again when we get to that. Let's finish this motion. We have a motion and a second.
Just to be clear, Mr. Chairman, the current motion, as I understand it, is to approve all of the items in the agenda item with the exception of Forsyth Medical Center Foundation and Eleanor Health Foundation.
Yeah, that's where it's going. We can postpone any discussion of that for later. So I made a motion to approve the rest. We have a second. Is there any further discussion on the remaining proposals? Thank you.
So I do have a follow-up question. If Commissioner Wizenhunt, could you remind me what was your concern about the Forsyth Medical?
Let me kind of follow through on the Gordon's request. Essentially, we can consider the EHL separately, and we're going to consider the Forsyth Medical Association separately. Let's act on the others, and then we'll get to those separately. So, any further discussion on the group for approval?
Could you repeat the motion?
Yes, it's a motion to approve the recommended list for the opioid settlement grants, excluding the Eleanor something Foundation, EHF, Health Foundation, the Eleanor Health Foundation, and also Forsyth Medical Association's request. Medical Center's request, I said association. So all the rest, and if there's a desire to read those, I'm sure Denise or Chantel could read the remaining list. Is there any desire to hear the remaining list? I think everybody's got that in front of you. Just go to your link.
Well, that was one of my questions, and I know it's pretty mundane, but if you could read the list just for the record, that would be helpful.
I'd have to dig it up. I mean, I've kind of got it here pretty quick, but if you're...
I'll be glad to. So the remaining items are Addiction Recovery Care Association Incorporated, or ARCA as we know it, $121,271. Green Tree Peer Support Program, the amount of $45,655. Insight Human Services at $95,018. Twin City Harm Reduction Collective in the amount of $357,303. ATS of North Carolina, LLC, doing business as Winston-Salem Comprehensive Treatment Center in the amount of $350,311, and ASK, or ASKK, LLC, doing business as Southside Discount Pharmacy at $15,640.
Now, any further questions on those?
Was there another item for Forsyth County? The next to last?
351,600.
I'm sorry, yeah. Forsyth County, $351,600. And Chantel?
Yep, the Forsyth County, that total is for the media campaign, the purchase of more naloxone, and to pay for part of the senior office assistant position that's needed.
Thank you. Thank you for catching that, Gordon.
Right. Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
We have one no. Motion carries unanimously. It did not carry unanimously. It carried 6-1. Excuse me. Apologize. All righty. Any reason that we don't have to take any action to not approve the Eleanor Health Foundation, the one. So is there anyone desire? If there is, please make a motion that you'd like to consider it.
Could you repeat that again? I'm sorry.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to handle this differently. I'm going to make a motion that we do not approve the Eleanor Health Foundation. And is there a second? We postpone it, but not approve at this time.
Second.
We have a second by Vice Chair Wizenhunt. Any discussion on that one?
I'm not clear on exactly what we're trying to do, why we're trying to do it, when we're going to do it, how we're going to do it, and I can't vote for it.
We've had about 10 proposals submitted.
Not in writing.
Yes, we have.
I'm sorry, I didn't get a copy.
There is a summary of each of the grants that has been provided for us. And we do have that, including their overall budget request. We just approved all of them but two. And the two that we have not acted on is the Eleanor Health Foundation, which is a incentive-based recovery program based very much on remote counseling and remote on using technology. And the second one is the Forsyth Medical Center. So we're discussing whether I'm just making a motion that we do not approve, postpone for a year, or to consider in a future year, the Eleanor Health Foundation until they get some results from their pilot in the western part of the state. And we've had that seconded. So is there any further discussion on that? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
One opposed. Motion carried 6-1. All righty. Now we have the proposal from the Forsyth Medical Center Foundation, Forsyth Forsyth Medical Foundation, Medical Center Foundation. Now we got to get that straight. And essentially, we've had a question from Commissioner Woodbury about why, particularly Commissioner Wisenhunt, had an interest in not supporting that grant.
Well, thank you. I'll be glad to share my concern. They are tax exempt for a reason, and that reason is to provide charitable care. And I do not feel that they are providing enough charitable care, and I think that for us providing this money is something that they should be doing on their own in order to be tax exempt and provide charitable care.
That answer got your question there.
Well, it does. I guess I'm just, the assumption that I have is that most of these organizations are 501c3 based, and they're trying to provide a service for the citizens of Forsyth County based on, some health need. And so I'll apologize that for some reason the email that was sent for better clarification around this group, I didn't read to my own peril, but I'm not sure if someone on staff can share, was there any additional information that might be useful right now? Thank you.
Denise can certainly speak to that point.
Thank you for your patience.
I'll be glad to share with you. So you may recall the discussion last week. They requested money to pay for, not necessarily for them to provide, but maybe for them to provide medication-assisted treatment. So they would be doing inductions when somebody was inpatient or in the emergency room, and then these vouchers would be used to continue to buy those services post-release. They also will be funding, per their proposal, a navigator to make sure that people are actually connected to that follow-up care post-release from the emergency room or inpatient services. They did provide clarification that there is not an administrative fee associated with this, and as Chairman Martin mentioned, that is the reason that it is running through the foundation. Probably need to also clarify that it was not a stipulation for funding for opioid settlement dollars, that they'd be a 501(c3). So it may not be all nonprofits in there. There could be some for-profits.
Mr. Bessie.
And as I understand it from discussion at our previous meeting, the health navigator for post-treatment in the emergency room is specifically for uninsured and underinsured individuals
correct.
Who would not otherwise be getting this follow-up connection.
That is correct.
And is not a service of the hospital now.
It is not a service of the hospital now. They do have an outpatient component for MAT, but it is not for the insured or the uninsured.
Yeah, and I do understand Commissioner Wisenhunt's point about particularly, I think, medical care in the country and particularly in this state. And we've had recent statewide data actually looking at whether or not the value of charitable care and charitable issues in all the hospitals in this state, quite frankly, have been prepared, and there were some that were not being quite meeting the value did not appear to meet the basically the claim for being a nonprofit organization. I do understand that, and I think this is an issue that the foundation is separate and apart from the hospital. And I see their work as trying to do, this is carrying it into the community. The nexus to the hospital is that's where the people in the emergency room are. And that navigator would be there and be a part of that, follow that person, and actually work in the community. So I guess I saw that difference, and for me, I was probably fine with that. But do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move, given what we've clarified, what specifically the funds are being asked to be used for, and the fact that it's the foundation, not the hospital itself, and none of it goes for administrative costs. And this is I think, more than worthwhile project for use of the funds that will not otherwise happen. I can and will separate the very legitimate overall question about whether the hospitals are providing the right kind of or enough charitable care from the question of whether this project for the foundation is a good thing for us to fund. And I'll move approval of the $204,240 for the evidence-based addiction treatment program, and specifically knowing that that includes the Health Navigator for to follow up emergency room treatment for uninsured and uninsured, and the cost of prescription medications to help provide that treatment.
For 100 people in the next year.
Well, if I could just say, I really
Well,
think...
let me see if there's a second to that
Oh,
motion.
excuse me.
Do we have a second? I'll second it. So now it's got.
I think that Forsyth Medical Center probably started this foundation just so they could be able to get money. I hate to think that Forsyth Hospital could not come up with $200,000 to help with the opioid addiction problem, especially when I pick up the paper and see the salary that the CEO is making. It hurts me to think about giving $200,000 to a foundation, a hospital that can afford that kind of money for a CEO.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to recuse myself from voting on this because I'm not satisfied completely on any of this subject.
Well, you are on the Novant board.
And I am on the Novant board. That is correct.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we recognize the recusal for Commissioner Plowler.
I'm not sure we need a motion to do that, but we've typically not. But
Okay,
there's
I'm sorry.
there's no
I'll
need for a
withdraw.
motion
I'll
for
withdraw.
accepting the recusal.
I would just like to say before we close out this motion that I think that Commissioner Bessie, makes a very strong, reasonable argument to support the foundation, since I would hope ultimately that hospitals start to think about how they can support communities without any profit advantage. And it seems to me the steward type thing to do, especially in relation to this opioid epidemic. And for me also, secondly, and so that's just my hope for the goodwill of hospitals. But I definitely understand where Commissioner Wisenhunt is coming from. And so I am torn, but I want to give the hospitals a chance to show the community that they can act based off of the good of, it's for the good of good health and not for our profit, and also with the recommendation of our staff to bring forward to us says something to me about you all have put in a lot of energy to bring the best recommendation to us. So I take that very seriously.
Any other comments?
Yeah, so my comment was relative to Commissioner Wisenhunt, and I'm going to support her because of all of the reasons that she did denote. It is very troubling when you have corporations such as the proposed here not do the charity care like they should in the community. And I know that that's separate from the opioid. And I am also willing to see what they will do as well, but just not with our dollars. So nevertheless, thank you for allowing me to share my sentiments on that as well.
And Mr. Chairman, I do just want to clarify, I just want to make sure everybody is clear, because I'm unclear, that the foundation is giving this money to the hospital. So I just want to make sure everybody is clear on that.
All righty. So are we ready to vote? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
Please say no.
Mr. Chairman, do you mind asking for a vote by hand so I can
All in
mark it
favor,
down?
please raise your hand. All opposed, please raise your hand. The motion is a tie and it fails. So thank you very much.
Here.
It actually would not pass if it's a tie.
I said it did not pass.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I said the motion failed. Very good.
All right, agenda item 14 is a resolution authorizing appropriation of behavioral health funds and execution of associated agreements in fiscal year 2024. This essentially impacts next year's budget, but it's one of those things that we've taken through this cycle, and so this will be integrated into the county manager's recommended budget when you see it. This appropriates $4,718,762 for that list of projects. I'll be happy to read them if you need them. There are two pilots I just wanted to mention. One is a continuation of the men's behavioral health unit in the detention center, and then a women's unit started up this year. So a lot of work's been done on this, and I appreciate the work. The Health and Human Services Board actually brings some of those recommendations to you in the same manner as they did the opioid recommendations, and they fund some really amazing projects throughout the county. So.
Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Motion approved by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion? I echo the county manager's comments about a lot of hard work that goes into reviewing those, and that's been a long-standing good investment of our money, I believe. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right, we will continue. This is a behavioral health themed meeting, I believe, today, so we'll continue on. You've got a number of grant items. Item 15 is a resolution ratifying submission of a request for opioid abatement funds and authorizing acceptance of opioid abatement funds in the amount of $91,514 to purchase naloxone for distribution at no cost to the community. You've got an associated budget ordinance amendment to appropriate these funds that are flowing through Partners Health Management. And this will allow distribution of naloxone at the at EMS, also at the what do we call that thing over at Public Health? The vending machine. Thank you, at Public Health. All right, and then at community events.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner McDaniel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right, agenda item 15 is a resolution authorizing the execution of the necessary documents to apply for, accept, and receive North Carolina Department of Public Safety grant funds for a medication-assisted treatment program in the Forsyth County Detention Center. You've got an associated budget ordinance amendment. This will appropriate $388,884 for this grant that was really pursued by the sheriff.
Your motion.
Motion to approve.
Approved by Commissioner McDaniel. Is there a second?
Yes, Richard did.
Second. I apologize. Commissioner Linville, second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right, agenda item 17 is a resolution authorizing the execution of a grant agreement between Forsyth County and the North Carolina Department of Transportation. It funds an airfield lighting rehabilitation project, or parts of it, at Smith Reynolds Airport in the amount of $229,787.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner McDaniel.
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right, we have two ARPA contracts for consideration. Item 18 is a resolution approving the execution of an agreement with Legal Aid of North Carolina to fund an eviction diversion program with American Rescue Act Plan funds. You've got the associated budget ordinance amendment that will appropriate $100,000 for this purpose.
Move approval. Motion approved by Commissioner Bessie.
Second.
Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item 19 is the second one. It is a resolution approving execution of an agreement with Centers for Exceptional Children Incorporated to fund its infant and toddler program with ARPA funds. You've got the associated budget ordinance amendment that appropriates $831,636 for that program.
Move approval.
Second. Motion approved by Commissioner Plyler. Second. Second by Commissioner Linville. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
All right, we have a number of contracts for consideration. Item 20 is a resolution selecting and authorizing execution of a contract with CGL Companies to perform a security and staffing assessment for the new courthouse. We've heard about that last week. This will fund the study in the amount of $83,224. We need to get those results back in time as we open the new courthouse to deal with the staffing issues around transportation and security there in the courthouse, given that the facility changes.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Commissioner Plyler. Second.
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Wizenhut. I just have one question. How long, when will they, if we approve this today, how long would it be to get that? I mean, you really need it sooner.
Yeah, we need to get on with it.
So they came up with a 3 to 4 month period to complete the study. So if we execute the contract today, if the board does, then we hope to have that executed by no later than early June, and they would then be done September-ish.
That's late. I mean, that's late.
Yeah, we will push hard to get that done. Yep.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item 21 is a resolution awarding and authorizing execution of a contract with B3 Security Group LLC for security services at Tanglewood and Triad Parks. It is a multi-year agreement. It was a 3-year period. The total payments under the contract over that period are not to exceed $475,200.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Commissioner Plyler,
Second.
second by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right, item 22 is a resolution awarding a contract to Law Enforcement Services Group, LLC, for pre- and post-hire psychological medical services, really for Sheriff's Department staff, not to exceed $95,000.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Commissioner Plyler,
Second.
second by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right. Agenda item 23 is a resolution awarding a contract to Airmark Correctional Services, LLC, for Law Enforcement Detention Center on-site food services. This is a multi-year agreement, total not to exceed payments over the 3-year period of $5,627,090.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Commissioner Plyler,
Second.
second by Commissioner Wizenhut, by Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right. Item 24 is a resolution authorizing the purchase of cellular services and equipment. It essentially authorizes sort of a centralized effort to purchase those services under the North Carolina State contract.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Commissioner Plyler,
Second.
second by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right. Item 25 is a resolution authorizing the execution of an amendment to an agreement between Forsyth County and Communication Access Partners Incorporated for interpretation services.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Commissioner Plyler,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bessie. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, you got a couple of tax items. You can take these together. You've got item 26, which is a resolution approving refunds by the tax assessor collected the amount of $12,464.90. And then you've got a resolution approving refunds in the amount of $15,703.17 from the North Carolina Vehicle Tax System.
Move approval.
Second.
Approved by Commissioner Plyler, second by Commissioner Linville. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right, and you've got one report, March 2023 contribution-based benefit cap report.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Commissioner Plyler, second by Commissioner Linville. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Before we adjourn, we actually have a special surprise proclamation. I didn't get in the proclamation list. It is a surprise. And Vice Chair Wizenhut has agreed to read that. So give it 1 minute till they get passed out to everybody.
And I must say that when your clerk puts your agendas together, it's hard to, you got to have somebody to do this, and so it's hard to surprise them. But anyway, but I think we have.
We hope we have. Resolution recognizing April 30th, 2023 through May 6, 2023 as Professional Clerks Week. Whereas the Office of Clerk to the Board of Commissioners, which includes the clerk and deputy clerk, is a time-honored and vital part of local government and is the oldest among public servants. Whereas clerks provide the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at all levels. Whereas clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of neutral and impartial, rendering equal service to all. Whereas clerks serve as the information center on functions of local government and community. Whereas clerks continually strive to improve their service through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is the most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of Office of Clerk to the Board of Commissioners. Now therefore it be resolved that the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners hereby recognize the week of April 30th, 2023 through May 6, 2023 as Professional Clerks Week, and further extend its appreciation to Forsyth County Clerk to the Board of Commissioners Ashley Matthews and Deputy Clerk Rosalind Covington for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the Board of Commissioners and the citizens of Forsyth County, adopted this 4th day of May, 2023.
I will second the motion.
Second. All in favor, please say aye. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Merit and surprises.
I don't believe it was a surprise.
I just got to say, we could barely get it together without them, but somehow we got it together. So that
Without
is it.
further
Mr.
business, or a motion to adjourn the regular meeting, and we'll return just in a matter of minutes to the
About
second.
5 minutes.
Motion from Commissioner Bessie, second by Vice Chair Wizenhut. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. We stand adjourned for 5 minutes.
Get my shoes on.
Thank you, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting this is a briefing for the regular meeting on May the 18th. And it's our first briefing, and we have one discussion item today from the Historic Resources Commission annual report. And since Janet Shield and her folks have been here for a long time through a long meeting, please come up and go ahead and go first, and then we'll be ready to brief our items, including the presentations, particularly for the hearings, public hearings coming up soon. Floor is yours, Janet. Thank you.
Ready. Thank you so much. First, we want to thank all of you commissioners for all your support for the Historic Resource Commission. I have been lucky enough to sit as a commissioner on the Historic Resource Commission for 6 years, so it's my honor to present our annual report to you guys tonight. I'm not going to read the report, thankfully. You guys have had a long meeting, so I did want to point out one thing on that report that I'd like for you to look at, that our very own Michelle McCullough was awarded a very prestigious Robert E. Stipe Award. It's the highest honor given by the state for a working professional. We are so lucky to have Michelle on the Historic Resource Commission and working for Winston-Salem. So hats off to Michelle.
Congratulations.
You guys should all have a copy of our annual report at your seat.
I don't think I have it here. I don't have it.
Ashley has it, so you'll be getting those.
That's what I've heard.
Inside that report is a flyer. This happens to be the 75th anniversary for the Historic Resource Commission. So we got a lot of celebrations coming up this year. But on May 22nd, we're kicking everything off with a trivia night at Joymongers, a historic trivia night. So we would like to invite all of the commissioners out and test your knowledge of local historic trivia. And I think maybe you'll learn a thing or two that you may not have known before. So thank you so much for your support, and it's been an honor to speak with you guys today.
We're not going to let her run away. This is Janet's last official duty as being a commission member. She was our landmark appointee because she owned a landmark property, and they have sold that property, and she's moving. So we're looking forward to meeting the new owner, but we would like to thank her for her 6 years of service with us. She has been a tremendous commission member for the Historic Resource Commission. She's always attending our marker unveilings, and she's on our education committee. Her enthusiasm is, it's contagious, so we would like to thank her publicly.
Thank you. All righty, we're ready to turn the briefing over to County Manager Watts.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, basically we have the introduction of the items for the May 18th meeting. We do have a couple of public hearings that will go into detail, and then the only other item we do have a short closed session motion on economic development. So after we finish this out, I'll make that motion. So I'll turn it over to Chris Murphy to review the public hearing items.
Good afternoon again. Yes, we do have two more zoning public hearings. The first one is F-1630, which is a petition of Keith Gerald Martin for a 3.89 acre property on the northwest and southeast sides of Hammock Farm Road, south of Old Walkertown Road, from general use GI to RS40. This is a subject property shown on the Legacy Growth Management Area Plan, right on the edge of the GMA3 and GMA4 growth management areas. Here is the subject property identified in yellow, again on it's there along Hammock Farm Road, where we have seen some other rezonings in the past from GI to RS9, RS40, etc. Subject property shown on the countywide aerial imagery. And it is a residential property that for some reason was on GI back prior to the conversion. It was an industrial zoning district, and then it was converted with the conversion back in '95. However, since it was residential, it was recommended in the area plan for single-family residential zoning, so it is compliant with the area plan recommendation. This is looking at the southeast portion of the subject property. And this is looking at the northwest portion of the subject property. This is looking eastbound. The subject property is on both sides of the road. In summary, the proposed RS40 district would replace industrial zoning that is out of character with the surrounding area. The Walkertown Area Plan update, which was adopted by the commissioners back in the mid-2010s, recommends single-family residential land use at this location. The proposed request is generally consistent with Legacy 2030. This was heard at the Planning Board's April 13th, 2023 public hearing. There were no speakers in opposition, and the planning board did vote unanimously to recommend approval of the request. And with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Go back to the screen that shows property crossing Hammock Farm Road. You had one that's better than that one, but that will do.
Will that one do?
Yeah, I guess. How about try to explain something to me? Whenever something appears to be east and west and something north and south, then how do you make the final determination of which it is? Because I'm not arguing with you. I just want to try to understand something. When you know locations and roads, this one is one at Hammock Farm Road, to me, is east and west. Of course, it is coming around the curve there a little bit. That's and then that property, I would call it north and south, but you describing it. How do you come to that determination? You got something to go by?
Well, you know, if you notice on that map there, the cardinal direction of the north there in the bottom left-hand corner of the diagram, you see that, you know, as you say, Hammock Farm Road is going east-west at some point, but then it goes around that curve and is going more towards the northeast. If you're looking at Hammock Farm Road, you've got property on the northwest side of, because it's on the upper side and it's towards the west, on the northwest side of Hammock Farm Road, and then the balance of the property where the actual house is on the right side or the southeast side of Hammock Farm Road. So it's really just depending on where you are on the road. If you're down there in that curve, it truly does go east-west, but as you come up around that curve, it's going to the northeast.
Okay, that's my lesson for today. Thank you.
All right. Any questions for Chris? I think we got this one's pretty straightforward.
And I will share last one is another down zoning. This is for Charles Grubb. It's case F1631. It's for slightly over 24 acres of property on the west side of Follinsby Road, south of Bridgeton Road. And it's a general use rezoning request to go from RS9 to RS20. This is the subject property shown on the Legacy Growth Management Area Plan. It is located in GMA3 suburban neighborhoods. It is in between 150 and South Main Street along, it's north of Fishel Road off of Follinsby Road. This is the subject property highlighted in yellow on the location map. Again, you see it on the west side of Follinsby Road, just south of Bridgeton Road, and then off the image to the south would be Fishel Road. This is a subject property outlined in yellow on the countywide aerial imagery. You notice it is some fairly substantial acreage. We'll see some pictures in a minute of a house and some existing agricultural buildings. You notice to the west is Wilshire Golf Course. And again, this is located on the west side of Follinsby in between Bridgeton and Fishel Road. This is the subject property shown on the South Suburban Area Plan Update, which was adopted by the commissioners in the 2010s. Again, recommends single-family residential 0 to 8 units per acre, which is consistent with the request of going from RS9 to RS20. This is looking north on Follinsby Road. The subject site is on the left. Bridgeton Road would be across the bridge and to the left if you were traveling north. This is looking south on Follinsby Road. The site is on the right. If you kept going down Follinsby, you'd run into Fishel. This is looking into the northern portion of the site. That's an existing single-family house on the site. And this is looking into the southern portion of the site. You see a barn there in the background, some farm gates, and again, some other agricultural buildings in the background. This is looking across Follinsby Road from the site. So this is on the east-hand side of Follinsby. It appears to be mainly vacant, undeveloped property. In looking at the summary, the request is consistent with legacy in that it supports a mixture of housing densities and types. Again, it's RS9, but they're requesting to go to RS20. The South Suburban Area Plan Update recommends single-family residential land use at this location. The site has access to public water and sewer. This was heard by the Planning Board at their April 13th, 2023 public hearing. There were no speakers in opposition, and the Planning Board did vote unanimously to recommend approval of the request. And with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for Chris?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, I'll just do a quick overview of the remainder of what you're going to hear in detail next Thursday. We've got a couple of budget and finance items. You've got some JCPC funds. Again, in our effort to make sure we don't revert anything at year end, we've got an action related to some additional discretionary funds. You've got a 2022 PAYGO Capital Projects Ordinance transfer from Economic Development Reserves to SG Atkins Community Development Corporation. It's been a fairly long time to provided some support for a shared kitchen project there. I think it was matching up with some grant dollars, if I remember correctly. But you'll hear about that from Kyle Haney and his staff. You've got a grants item related to airfield lighting. It looks like a duplication of what we just took action on, but apparently there's some other grant dollars that are out there as well, and so this will recognize those. ARPA funding, it looks like you have 2 ARPA contracts. As we move through those, we're narrowing those down. You've got an agreement with the YWCA of Winston-Salem Forsyth County, and then you've also got an agreement with Second Harvest Food Bank, Northwest North Carolina, for workforce development training. Under contracts, you've got a contract on some improvements out at the airport with a hangar door project at 3820, which is the hangar there that where there's a crossover over to Signature, and then you've got a the early start. One of the things we lease some terminal space to car rental companies. We actually have to have some, as part of that, need a car wash facility. So we've been working on that with the idea that we also we can take care of the rental car wash requirements, but also reduce some costs that we have in the county around contracted car wash work. And so we would do that through a revenue agreement with the airport. So we'll hear in detail about that. Oxygen cylinder exchange for EMS services. The board funded a tree risk kind of mitigation project at Parks, I believe, with some PAYGO dollars last year, and so we got some progress on that. Periodically, we bid out and contract for print and mail services. We used to do that service in-house. We actually contracted it a number of years ago, and so this will continue that. And then we do have, which we may pull after I saw an email from Gordon, because we may already have approval to buy some ambulances, but we do have a contract for two ambulance services. Next week, Kirby will go into detail. I believe he's received offers for some surplus property, and so according to the guidance the board has given us lately around the value of those, Kirby's going to bring a couple of those in. And then you've got tax assessor collector refunds and that. So fairly straightforward agenda. We are heading into budget. I will be submitting formally the county manager's recommended budget on the Thursday after this. And so, I am going to be trying to reach out to you just to kind of bring you up to speed on what that is looking like. That comes together in pieces, parts. And so Kyle is, and the rest of staff are just inundated with trying to get all that done right now. But, we'll be heading into that going into late May. So with that, Mr. Chairman, the only other item I have is just a closed session motion.
Go ahead.
Okay. Need to ask the board to consider a motion to go into closed session to discuss a matter relating to the location or expansion of industries or businesses in the area served by the public body, including agreement on a tentative list of economic development incentives that may be offered by the public body in negotiation pursuant to provisions of North Carolina General Statute 143, 31811A4. And since there are no other business to come before the board at this meeting, following the closed session, the meeting will be adjourned.
So moved.
All right, motion second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Motion to adjourn. We're adjourned. We're good.